All right, another week. It's Monday, so let's see what we have, and let's see if we can milk another week this week. All right, so today, which team is it again? Team B, I believe, right?
Think so. I can't remember.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So today will be Ross, Dennis, Taiwan, Laila, and Casey. So Ross, you wanna begin with a pair you're looking at for today?
I'm on mute. Sorry, I've been looking at them. I didn't find much. There's a big move. I think the retail news on Friday night that has moved the markets. There's a whole lot sort of with volume above and below, and
Yeah.
I was looking for some sort of pullback on some to buy in between the volumes, but I didn't see much. And then today's a public holiday in US, so I
Okay.
didn't find anything that on the list. Not really that I'd look at straight away. There's others that Euro yen I thought pull back then a buy, but and then others in a similar sort of situation buy or sell, but not really seeing much there. So we got the big volume from Friday where price dropped significantly, and there's big volume right through all the charts at that point, and so that's sort of will hold the market up, but and then typically we've got volume above it, so and then some arranging. So I really didn't find not really any opportunities for the moment. So looking at that, it looks like the
Yeah, it doesn't really look that clear, right?
no, it needs to move somewhere to then head towards another point. But yeah, really, I didn't find of any of the pairs. I didn't find much at all.
Yeah. All right. So, sure, I can understand what you're saying with the volumes and all that kind of stuff. Let's see if the rest of the guys have anything for now. Dennis, you want to give it a go? Hey, Eric.
Hi, Lucas. Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, no
I
worries.
was looking at the charts, forgot about time.
No problem. Yeah, Eric. Sorry, today's Team B. Dennis, are you looking at anything for today? Any specific pairs caught your interest? I am not sure if you're speaking. Yeah, Casey, why don't you go ahead? Do you see anything for us today?
Hey, Lucas, I was looking also at this New Zealand USD and the New Zealand CADs.
All right. So
yeah, I just really didn't see anything that I would say, hey, this is about to go. To me, just a few pairs that looked kind of interesting, I guess.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think it was New Zealand USD and then New Zealand CAD. I think it was more. They were kind of similar. They were hitting. This one was kind of in this zone where it could react from a big trap that happened. This guy broke above, so we're kind of in this. This was a trap area because of possibly this guy or even this guy who started that made lower lows.
Yep.
Bigger picture kind of thing. So there could have been some sellers here that broke above, and then now they're coming back to test it, but there's high volume, but nothing. I think overall flow is kind of down, so nothing really. I just don't really know about this setup because this one kind of messed with me Friday. I took a trade in this kind of similar setup.
Okay, so what you want to do in cases like this, right, is try and identify what's the missing pieces here, which would lead you to think that this is not really an ideal setup for you. Because when you see a good setup, right, then you automatically know it's a good setup. But maybe for now you're not really able to identify why it's a good setup. So days like this, it's good for you to practice being more familiar with what you actually want to see, what story you actually want to see in the charts, that kind of stuff. So same goes for everyone. When you see stuff that doesn't really make much sense, it's important also before reaching that point to know why it doesn't make sense for you. So that way, you know, your whole the strategy that you have in your mind is more cemented, if that makes sense. So in this case, Casey, what is it about this pair that doesn't really make much sense for you, or you know, doesn't get you excited to begin trading it?
With this one, just the fact that it's been so long since the trap, I guess, is one thing. The other one is the overall direction. Mainly that the fact that it's just been so long. It just doesn't seem
like the type of trades you usually take.
Yeah, I think so. There's something about it is off because it also correlates with New Zealand CAD.
Yeah.
And New Zealand CAD's in a down flow, and it's kind of a counter trend kind of thing. So maybe this could be similar, because I think overall flow is down also. No, overall flow's kind of looking on my chart.
So
it's kind of
So I'm guessing that you're more familiar with stuff. Yep, this is a trap because, you know, here or here, whatever the case is, it's also a huge range, all that stuff. You understand, right? So
Yes.
I'm guessing that you're gonna be more familiar with this and this. Am I right?
Yeah, just something that's not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not like this.
That would feel a lot more comfortable. I would feel more confident on that. What you just drew, like, okay, this is probably on. It's going to happen. And then also we have these volumes that are kind of right here.
Yeah, and that volume. Yeah. So I think this is we're gonna talk about the direction in a bit, but as of right now, I think this is something you guys were asking me about when a trade sort of changes to a higher time frame. It's stuff like this, right? When it's such a huge push, and then it's such a big pullback afterwards, with quite some distance. So without going into the story part, we all know that this area here is gonna give us some type of reaction. We're just unsure which part of the story we are in right now, which has to give us the answer of what kind of reaction are we getting. Does that make sense? So this area, it's good. Pull back to that zone. We are expecting a reaction, but what are we in right now? On the 60-minute, it's this guy. What's this? Is it this guy here? Maybe, I don't know, too small. And then we're building a small range right now. So because we are trading on the 60 and nothing else, the ideal scenario for us is for the 60-minute alone here, or even here, to make a breach down, hold below. I don't know, maybe take out the guy who started and then do our, good old breach with a retest of the release zone to go for a buy, right? What we have right now is probably something on the 240 that could be pulling back, and then around this kind of zones, the 240 is attempting their primary towards to make a push at least towards the upside, and then from there see what happens after that. So in short, it's because how big this is. I'm guessing that's throwing you off, right?
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the 240. So even on the 240, there are a few things we are able to see. Same kind of area. Okay. Could this be a refresh? It might be, right? Because this was a strong push up. The MAs were all here, all here. If there wasn't any kind of slowdown here, it's all just one push all the way towards the 50 MA, inviting sellers in, which would make sense for us to think that, if sellers are coming in, there could be buys opportunity from this area here. Now, this primary trade makes a little bit more sense because at least we have a release zone to work off. Everyone following along so far? Okay, so 240 we know could be a refresh, could be primary setting up at a location that we're looking at. But that's the story part, right? Now, as for the technical part, analysis part, we still have the same kind of issue. This downtrend coming to an area like this. Casey, you were saying the volume is here. So more or less around here, right? The ideal scenario for us is to have volume down here. So at least we know this downtrend is in danger, and who's selling down there, all that kind of stuff, and then picking up the buy if they are trapped down there. So right now we don't really have that kind of situation. That's first. Okay, volume doesn't really. Volume isn't on our side to take the trade. Second thing is, because we're trying to execute our trade on the 5-minute, our big boy sort of being the 60-minute, the 60-minute is not giving us any kind of a level or a release zone to work off. Right? So obviously this is a release zone, but because this push is so huge, coming all the way back down, we want to use another 60-minute release zone here instead of this piece. But obviously the 60-minute release zone from here has to come from here. Now this part may be a little bit confusing, but do you guys follow along so far?
That last little part we said the 60-minute release zone has to come from there. Maybe if we could explain that little part again.
So here, trap, right? When we resolve up, when we pull back, this one, everyone should be able to follow along to take the release and buy, right? Now, if this push is so big, so huge, and when it reaches this point and comes all the way back down again, it's not a 60-minute, it's not this piece. If I extract it out, it would be here, right? So it's more like a 60-minute breach with a 5-minute pullback to buy. But because this breach here, it's so big, becomes like this, same kind of range, same range we're drawing, so huge all the way up, and then coming all the way back down after 1 day kind of situation. So just logically speaking, this is not really a 60 not a 65 pullback trade we have been learning so far. Now, the difference between this and this, everyone follow along? Just because how big this is and how long it took for it to pull back all the way towards the release zone. So because it made a huge push, took a while to come back down, this can be visualized on the 240.15 kind of situation. So to take this buy, we gotta use 240.15. Otherwise, if we do not want to switch time frame for our trading, just wait for another 65 setup to occur again at this zone.
Got it.
In that case, it would just look something like a few things, right? It's again going back to the same kind of situation. What can we trade off? A release, range break, release with volume, preferably at the bottom, or another push down with a new guy who started, kill that guy. The type A, type B, type C, and range release here.
And if we were to get the 65 in that same zone, it could potentially be an even better setup because it's kind of got two times. Could that be that eclipse that Naveen talks about?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right terminology, but it's like got two zones in one.
Yeah, it could.
Okay.
So the only thing you have to worry about in situations like this is if this is range, you know we are gonna get a reaction off this zone, and it's a 240 kind of refresh situation. The only thing you have to worry about is when this push happens and you get this buy, just check if because this buy might be a tad risky is not really the right word, but if 240 has made a primary here, you want to fade this a lot more carefully because 240 primary cannot go all the way up, right? Because someone up there is trying to sell, right? So this is gonna come back down, and then it's more or less like doing a secondary kind of situation. But if the setup does occur, things will align where it makes sense for the buy to happen, regardless of what label we are trying to put on the trade. Yeah. So this piece here, we just need to have a 60-minute level to work off and volume. That's all. Make sense, Casey?
Yeah. Thank you for explaining that for me. But yes, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, Eric, you had a question. Go ahead.
No, I don't have it anymore because you talked about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Dennis, I'm not sure if you're still there. Lila, do you have anything you're looking at for today?
Yeah, I noticed Japanese weakness, so I've been looking at Swiss, Euro, and Pound, but nothing is ready, really.
Okay. Which one do you want to have a look at first?
We can look at the Pound.
Pound, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, walk us through.
I just saw it a few minutes before this session, so let's try. I'm seeing. I think that this last push from the seller here, it came down, and the volume just came up a lot from down here. And this is a huge move that came to this release point. I think I saw some volume here somewhere, so it was a good point to push up. Now I'm seeing that this is the last seller, and I'm just waiting for it to be killed, coming down slowly to maybe this area to take it up to where the seller had volume, I don't know, maybe to here or something, where the last buyers tried.
Okay. Yep.
But I'm also seeing all of this big range, so I'm not sure yet. But if I'm gonna trade the 1 hour, 5 minutes, and I see a good level from here, maybe I can take it at least to the recent high.
Okay. This is where the logic will make sense for you. So you mentioned that this could be a range, right?
Yeah, and it is above that last SNR from the range. This is the last buyers.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't the last buyers. I'm sorry. This is the last buyers where they tried, and now you're inside the range. I'm just waiting for it, like.
Yeah. Yeah. So this range, huge, have all the volumes, have everything going for it. Once it resolves down, ideally, anyone who's inside the range are going to be trapped from the lows here. And when we pull back, ideally speaking, if they're really trapped, they should do this, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, they're not really doing that. What we actually have is low end of the range, we pull back, try to release, and then failed once more. Same thing, you have volume at the bottom. Then you really got to ask, if someone's really trapped inside the range and they're not really trying to release, and we have high volume at the bottom, I think if we do clear and kill this guy convincingly, and then giving us a retest, this might have the power to at least try to go for here. But because we're again trading on the 65, just getting out here is fine as well. But yeah, I don't see much. I think this is the right way to read this pair. Yeah, because
maybe check the MAs also if you have distance. If you're gonna treat it like a counter trend.
In this case, you don't really need to check the MAs, because usually we'll only be checking the MAs on one time frame higher, right, just to see the trend.
Yeah.
And in this case, we are still pretty much in an uptrend.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it had, I'm seeing here also that the buyer had enough sellers going down under the MA, and now it's going up.
Yeah.
So this is it is an upflow, and it's trying from here to go up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In ordinary circumstances, especially when you see this push that came down like a seller that touched the MA, and when you came all the way back up, at this stage you're assuming that the buyers have enough discount from the sells, and it should go right now. So once this thing failed to go, comes all the way back down, this is the area where I don't think there's any more buyers interested in this anymore. And here, ideally speaking, it should have crashed lower, because the fact here is that if we're looking at the markets right here, it almost seems that we already have some sort of refresh, and it failed once, it failed twice. So here it really should have went. Again, well, that's because it's a range afterwards, right? So it all leaned towards the fact that buyers still have some juice left. The last piece here is everything on your 60 has to make sense. Just making this guy is killed. Here it's it's hard to call it a kill, right? We really need this kind of move. So that kind of move, that's one piece, and then a 5-minute pullback.
Yeah. Okay.
The volume was identified correctly at the right location, so that's good as well.
Okay.
I'll mark this blue, and yeah, could be for New York, could be for tomorrow, but let's see if it clears this whole location. Now, there are a few things you also can use your logic for this trade. This is the low end of the range. When we break down, ideally we should release, right? You should also know that this entire move down, there were a lot of buyers that could be trapped here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are still a few things here. If we do go up towards this zone here, and if we release very, very strong towards the downside, you would understand why, because these guys may still be intact and they all just need a deep pullback.
Enough buyers, yeah.
Yeah. But if this is very strong and then the pullback is very slow, then it will all just mean that they're not here anymore.
Can we think if it's not strong but the pullback is very slow, also you just compare them to each other, that also could be a push to the recent high?
Then if it's slow here and slow here, you really need to be really careful about the volume.
Yeah.
That
You need to see some decision there. It's the volume or it's the strong push or something that, okay, now they are more confident that it is for the up move.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when it ranges, when it takes so long, it ranges so long and until it went down, maybe that would be signs that okay, until the setup is ready, it's going to take, as you said, at least one session.
Yeah, for the pullback, at least a few hours, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think earlier on, I said something about don't trade anything that's in a range. So here the situation is a little bit different because here is after the range sort of broken out and then come back in.
Yeah.
Right. If it's something like this where we push down and we stop halfway without inviting sellers in here, like inviting sellers towards the downside, then this range we don't really want to touch because we're not sure who's in control. But here, this is sort of like your like the market is showing you its hand that it does want to go down but fail.
Yeah.
So here, there's a difference there. It
has to come out of the range, and then you're gonna understand if it, and then come in quite fast to know that okay.
Yeah.
And is it always very? I guess it depends, but it has to kill the last move before doing anything. Coming in the range, killing the last move, then doing something.
Yeah, or it can do this.
Trying, not doing anything.
Try, build a SNR for you.
Yeah, the same thing as.
Yeah. If there's no volume here, high volume here, then this should be okay.
Into the range, yeah.
Going back in.
Okay.
So again, in a range, if this were to resolve out like that, pull back. If this push doesn't make higher highs, then you stop, because here it's supposed to go up to make higher highs. If it doesn't make higher highs and do other kind of weird stuff afterwards, you don't really want to trust this trap or anything afterwards.
Don't you want to get out either way? I mean, are you able to wait for the higher highs, or are you gonna maybe take out something 50% or even more, or is it depending on the move?
It depends on the move, but if this push is big enough and this 5 minute pullback is, yeah, I'll just get out here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can try and hold it because after this part, it's supposed to go up anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where your journal comes into handy to track your trades.
Yeah. And stops under, maybe here. Do I have it? Where it stopped? It
Yeah.
shouldn't, even higher, it shouldn't go down under the, just a little bit.
No, your stops is based on the 5. So once it resolves up, you will just be looking at where your 5 is turning.
Yeah.
Get in here
then,
and stops there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yep, Casey, you have a question on this one?
No, it wasn't on this one. It was that the yens are all kind of correlating, and I saw that euro yen is pretty clearly taken out the guy who started. It looks very similar to this.
Yeah. They're all reversing pretty hard.
Starting at the bottom, range style. There was another yen pair that was kind of interesting that was in a zone right now, but I don't know if it doesn't look like a great zone. I think it was New Zealand. Yeah, I don't know that it's necessarily a release. It could be for a sell. Yeah, but it doesn't. The read wasn't real clear on it on my part.
Yeah. This is the part where correlation will plays a more important role because like all the other yens, say Aussie yen, they all have volume at the bottom.
Yeah.
Although this pair may look like it still wants to go down, but there is more risk involved. So like pairs like this cat yen, where it's trying to turn the entire thing around, euro yen, right? So in cases like this, then plus the fact that you have volume at the bottom, so then you might just want to stand aside.
I got you. Just basically ignore it for right now. Good. Perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where correlation, is fairly important for us to, give us some type of clue.
Yeah, this is what I like is like Naveen said from the beginning. He's going to teach us when not to trade. That's kind of how I've always looked at it. Like I almost like to know when to stay away more than when to try to get in. And that's pretty clear. Okay, correlations against you, volume at the bottom. Even though it looks like a good zone, just forget about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even if there's high volume here, you still need to think twice, 3 times, 4 times, because if we're looking just on the overall picture, we did not really make new lows and we have high volume here. Is this high volume enough to trump over the fact about trump over this fact here and this here that it could continue to go down? That's the point where I'm usually saying I'm not sure. I'd rather stand aside. Yeah. Okay. So Dewan, do you see anything for today?
Actually, I was looking at pounds Japanese as well.
Okay.
And you given already explanation for it.
Okay. Are you looking at it the same way, or are you looking for a sell? were you also looking for a buy for this one? Like something like that?
Yeah, I was looking for buy.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. Just know that this area might give us some type of reaction. We really have to see what it does here. Okay, but so far the buyer's volume is leaning on the buy based on the volume makes a little bit more sense than leaning on the sell side. Yep, Laila.
Can we go over the pairs from Friday just to know what happened? Because when you are expecting a move, let's say to go down, you just get biased, I guess, to the sell side, and that I would like to go through them just to know, can I still sell, or is it time maybe to stop and not doing anything?
Oh, the pairs from last Friday that we talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do that later.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks.
Okay. Team A, are you guys looking at any pairs that you guys want to talk about for today? At least for this session.
I was looking at the yens too, but USD yen was my favorite. I just don't know if it's gonna play out because the US holiday.
All right. So, first of all, happy holidays if you're celebrating. All right. Now, walk me through how you're looking at this pair, or what you're looking at.
So we're in a seller's market.
Yep.
A lot of sellers were here if they just probe the lows. So the buyers took over. So now we have this little trap. So I was looking for a buy. And then when I went to the higher time frames, it looks like the MAs are pretty good too.
Okay. This downtrend, what's the status of this downtrend based on the volume?
Not too good. We have high volume coming in right around here. And if you look at the buys, it's all at the bottom, which is good.
Okay, so here, it's not good. It's not good either, right? It's 50-50. Yeah. Okay, so we have our classic pattern, right? Where's the zone here? Like you said, it might hold here as well, right? If this is a B type, but I'm open to the possibility where, could be up here or down here. Preferably, we would want price as low as we can if we are trying to attempt for a buy. So
Right.
yeah, just be open to those two situations. So again, counter trend sort of on this time frame. So let's jump to a higher time frame, 240. 240 is still a counter trend, but what can you say about the 240 MAs?
I wouldn't say it's ranging at this point. It's possible, but I'm just considering it one push and we're still far away from the 50.
Yeah. Yeah, the way I'm looking at this is more or less the same as you. I also am not too certain to call this a range because it's just the first, second, and third kind of just goes up. So if that's the case, it may still have some distance to travel. So it could still continue to go up. What else do you see on the 240?
We're kind of up too, but
Yeah.
we have this level to work with.
Yep.
This is kind of all one seller.
Yep.
So two-sided, but I think it's leaning more towards the buys. We're in nice areas.
Okay. That's good. So we have this, right? All this. So this sort of goes hand in hand with what's the first one Casey was talking about? New Zealand yen, where the breach was so big and extended that by the time it pulled back, it doesn't really look like a 65 anymore. So this is a more extreme version of that, which is so damn big. By the time it pulled back, it took a few days to do so. And right now we are at this release zone, this huge one. On top of that, we have a 60-minute setup, right? Guy being killed, volume, hoping for a pullback for a release. So these are the situations that I'm talking about. Does that make sense? Which is the one again? Casey, do you remember which pair were we talking about?
Yeah, I think it was New Zealand USD or New Zealand CAD.
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So similar, but obviously dollar yen is the more extreme version. Okay. So going back to you, Jay, you're saying that it might just not be a refresh yet. It might still have some space to travel. The other thing I was looking at on this pair is also on the daily, where it makes a lot more sense, where this is a huge push up, no slowdown, no range at all, came down all the way towards the 50 MA, one straight push, and then a big rejection. Then, this is more or less telling me that it might start to do a big primary, at least on the daily towards areas like this, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's good. I like this pair. I have this on my watch list too. But again, like you said, it is a holiday today. I'm not sure about how it's gonna pull back, but we do not have a pullback yet. I'll put an alarm here. Okay. So once we have this, what you usually do is just pull out 4 pairs. Do you have any pair that looks similar?
Yeah, Swiss yen I was looking at, Euro yen, and USD CAD was kind of correlating too.
Swiss yen. Yep. So this is yen. What was the other yen?
Euro yen.
Euro yen. Okay. This one is dollar.
Yeah, the other one's breached above now, the other yen, so we could even do the other yens now that it breached.
Yeah.
Like pound yen.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, you just from experience, dollar yen usually it's like a lone wolf kind of thing. But we do have pairs that are in sync. So just based on the pattern alone, this is the only time I'm using a pattern. Just based on pattern alone, Euro yen, if it does want to pull back and give us a reaction, it might be areas like this, which makes the most sense for us. Swiss yen barely breached, so it's very difficult for me to say that we have an area to work off. Maybe here, but again, not too sure yet, right? Because we're still pretty much in the zone. Pound yen, similar situation, not really a breach yet. This is definitely an area where if we do kill the cells, coming back there might have some release. Okay. This is as far as I'll go with my analysis because there is still no pullback. Candle still looks way too small to decide. We need to see what's going to happen here and here, and then check what are the other pairs doing. That's all.
Got it.
Yeah. So first area that you want to keep in mind would be this zone here. But I do have a feeling that it might come down here. Yep, this is a good one. I like this one. All right. Yeah. Any concerns about this one, Jay?
No, even though the volume that the sellers came down with, the buyers took it all out. So now we just have sellers volume here, but I wouldn't really target all the way up there anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. True. So I think the easiest trade, or at least the one that would give you the highest probability of a winning trade, would be this from here to here. Should be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. All right. I think someone raised their hand just now. Wasn't sure. Yep, Ian.
Yeah, I was looking in the morning at Swiss franc Japanese yen, but you already analyzed it with J pairs in Japanese yen group.
What do you see on this pair? What's your analysis on this one?
Okay, I see here a downtrend.
Yep.
Okay, and then a pullback. Here is the last guy who started it. I analyze the volume here, 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 here. So the volume is, we have a large volume here. So this could be a release zone. It was the primary on this. Okay, now let's analyze the pullback. We have a high volume down here, high volume here, high volume here. The buyers tried, and resolved down. So here we could have a release down. Okay. Sellers came with the volume here. Sorry, here. Okay, and now we have a return. So this I consider this could be a primary, and from here a secondary. But on a higher time frame. Yeah. Now, I'll delete all. Now, so I said we have here a release zone, and we should monitor this pullback on 5 minutes to fade the momentum, to get something like the last guy who started it to be taken, and then a test and trade.
All right. So this is a big zone, right? This is all your guys who were trapped, buyers that got killed, right? We pull back to that area. Why is this your primary, and why is this your primary but not this one? Why are you calling this your primary instead of this one?
Sorry, yes. This is the primary and this is the secondary, and this is the launch.
Okay. Why are you calling this the launch but not this the launch?
Because we have a large range here, with which is a good trap, because we have volume inside.
Yeah.
Good volume. Okay, so all these buyers are trapped here.
Yeah.
And this could be a good launch until here.
Yeah. So the question I'm asking is, when we push, all these guys were trapped.
Yes.
Could this have been a launch, or is this the pullback for it to launch?
This is not the launch because it didn't get to the release zone.
Okay, so where is your release zone?
We see here a distance, yeah. the release zone is here.
Yeah, right. So here's where you really need to put your logic in. However, I draw this line, if I put it just 1 pip higher or 2 pips higher, we could say it hasn't released. But if I just put it down at this tail here, we could say it has released. So this is the part where you really need to see what's actually going on. This question mark or this question mark. These two, which one is the launch? You're trying to figure out this. You're trying to figure out this answer, because if the launch has, like launch and then failed, then you don't want to sell anymore. So how do you know if this launch is still safe or not? You do this by looking at the volume. The volume is showing you that all the highest volume is all down here. Right? So let me do this again. Now you read the story this way. Come up towards that zone, we got a reaction. Could this be the primary? Maybe. Could this have been the secondary? Maybe. But you cannot ignore what happened here. Because in the beginning you were saying this is the primary, right? You gotta watch this piece. This is the first piece you reach towards that area. Stop, no more higher highs, and then went. At the same time, you see high volume in this range. Cannot ignore the fact that we resolve down. This was on Friday. We were all looking at this pair together. This pullback, when it's sold, crosses all this zone here, would anyone have thought that this would continue selling with all the volumes, with this downtrend? Sure, right? People would think that the sell is coming in and they are gonna think that it's gonna launch. Right?
Yes.
At this point, if everyone is thinking that it's gonna go down, hence high volume, and they got reversed, then you have a problem. So now you have to be open to the fact that maybe this was the launch before, but they were all trapped. So is this sell still valid? You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. So you have to really read everything piece by piece and not looking at the candles, but try and see if you are able to understand what typical trader would think about those areas, and then confirming the logic with volume. Because it's very logical to have high volume here, right? Because it's
Yes.
supposed to pull back to sell. Hence, it's very logical to have high volume there. But that high volume, got turned around completely, which in this case means someone's definitely trapped down there.
Okay.
Does that click?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have a wall down. If I take the trade from here, I have a wall here because of the high volume here. Up. Yeah. But okay, you said it's dangerous to take it because the release zone was touched before.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So it's not so much about price touching the release zone or not. So if I draw this out for you, if I have something like this, if this is the zone we're expecting a release, right? If we pull back to that area, you gotta start thinking in logic. Release means someone trying to get out of their positions, right?
yes,
Yep. Someone's trying to get out and then the opposite party is trying to get in, right? In this case, people trying to get out of their buys. So buys, no. Sellers are trying to come in, right? These two actions are going to cause price to tank, right? So when we pull back towards this vicinity here, the end result of a release is for price to tank. It doesn't matter where it pull back to. It can come back towards the precise area that I drew, or come back a few pips higher. But as long as you see, this move, it just means that the release has happened. So this tells you what actually happened up there. It's sort of similar to this. Doesn't really matter exactly where it pulls back to, here, here, or here. As long as we came back up and then dropped, that just means someone has released, and it should continue to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it turned again, struggling up.
Yeah, then that's the part where it could be an illusion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so from your point of view, what should be done now? Stay aside or analyze this pullback?
No, you don't want to analyze this. There's no point. But what you want to see is, okay, you have high volume here. Check other yen pairs to see if there is a buy setting up for yen, sort of like USD yen.
Okay, understood.
Yeah. So don't consider this sell, because it may work, but it's just not worth it over the long run.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. I have 3 hands.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Eric?
Yes. Hey, Lucas. I was looking at Australia, Japanese yen. I think you answered most of the questions. I just would like to double check with you on how to read the volume.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah. Before that, Laila or Ross, you guys have a question on this particular pair?
Yeah. I'm thinking that when the seller, I have to annotate again. It came here, the buyers were supposed to come up, and it came down. So this would be enough sellers for the buyers here that there is volume to take it up. So they used it, this level, to take it up. And then I'm thinking, because I'm seeing all of this volume, and it went up to here, this seller came down to here. I see a wick here. Could you take a buy already from here, although it is a range in this area up there? Could you now? But I think you have answered the question. If you see this struggling up, maybe you should close it here. Or if it goes up a little bit stronger with volume, maybe you could take it up to where the volume began.
In this case, no, you wouldn't want to take any buys, because this is more of just because it's not a sell doesn't mean it's a buy kind of thing. So just because this sell, primary, if I'm reading it like that, where this could be primary, secondary, and this is the on phase, just because it fails doesn't mean you want to buy immediately. No, it gets too tricky.
Even if the flow is behind you, the big boy is going up, you still want to wait to come into the range and then have some kind of release.
So it depends. If this is a higher time frame situation, where this is a huge upflow, okay, this all pullback could be a huge primary. Primary cannot go all the way up because someone on the opposite side is trying, right?
Yeah.
So if these are the tries, and then, I don't know, come back to this zone here, high volume, this is your secondary, probably, maybe, then maybe you can try and think about this here. Again, because I cannot ignore this huge piece. I want to see they all try and fail.
Okay. Either way, even if the flow is behind you, you have to wait
Yeah,
into the range, kill the last move, and then
yeah. This guy, yeah.
yeah. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep. So this might just be something I'm waiting for also. This. Okay, just because, you know, we understand that I'm sure a lot of people are selling. I'm sure a lot of people are selling. Here on Friday, we were all thinking about selling this. Here, everyone's selling this. And if this happened, you know,
Bye.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Then you have killed this big move down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Then this is supposed to go up. And this is the part where if it fails to go up and then come back down, then, you know, we stop here because it's in a range then.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Ross?
So the question, I'm looking at the pairs and this one as well. We've got sort of volume between big clumps of, price between big clumps of volume. Is it with public holidays of major currencies? Does the price just drift back to the median? Is there really no correlation? It just does what it does, and it's looking for the patterns or the release points. Is there anything for that happens on major public holidays that is normal?
I'm not sure, but I tend to see sometimes when we are in public holiday, price tends to squeeze a lot more. So let's take, for example, an area that we are looking for a sell. This just goes back to logic, you know, it may squeeze a lot more before going down just because, you know, there might not be enough traders coming in to release or to hit the sells to go down, you know, because there's not enough volume.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Eric. Yeah.
The Australian Japanese yen.
All right.
Yeah. I think this one is quite obviously after analysis this, I don't want to really do anything at the moment because at this moment it's just not very clear. We have this huge volume at the bottom and the last downtrend got huge volume here, then some volume here, right? So this is my question to you, because when we are looking at this session, this whole day, we are looking at this, and often if we look back, in one session we have like two spikes. Normally it's at London or New York, right? So and then this time we have another spike in the Asia. I was looking at the economics calendar. I know that there was some news release at that point of time, but according to the new economic calendar, it was not really high impact news, but it has got this volume anyway. So my question to you is that in cases like this, actually lots of days, even we don't have that spike in Asia, we sometimes would have a spike in London and then another one in New York, and quite often the New York volume would be higher than London. So when we were marking those areas on the price on the price chart, do we consider both spikes, both in London and New York? And in this case, do I need to consider Asia as well? So basically, I mark that. Do I mark this London here, or I only need that one? That's the main one we are considering. The other two is not so significant.
I think it depends on what depends on where we are and what we're trying to do. So in this case, let's just say for this pair, for example, you have high volume here. It doesn't really matter so much which session it's coming from. So if it's here and you have volume here from the previous session, all you know is this downtrend is not healthy. In fact, it could be in danger because there's high volume below. I think that's as far as you want to take it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Do you have a pair? Other pair that have? I don't think I explained it that well. Do you have other pairs?
No. I think the pairs I was looking at mostly also Japanese yen pairs, but none of them are ready. You explained most of them already. So, but this one is just like kind of like interesting because this one I was actually thinking there might be a chance for buy because I was looking at the MA on the high frame as well, on high time frame as well, and it's still far away from both MAs. If you look at 4 hour, but in this case, I don't really want to buy this because it's obviously we have buyer failed before, so that one it's more kind of like a refresh from the high time frame already, and now it failed. So I'm in a dilemma, so I don't want to trade this pair.
Yeah. Plus, you don't really have a setup yet. You don't have a range or not Q.
And this one, I was thinking because if you look at the volume here, right? So those are really high volumes. I was thinking if I can, if the price was going to range here and then it has got a break and the pullback to here, I may have a chance to from here to there. But that's going to take some time to set up because I was thinking the volume there is not really that high, but if I have all the volume from here, I may have a chance to do a counter trade. But
may have. Regarding your question with the volume, if you see anything else, let me know. Then maybe I can.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
No worries. Laila, you have a question?
I was thinking about when Ian talked about, the release zone, this move didn't come up to the release zone, so it's not the on move down. But I'm thinking if you want to know if, just to ask on confirmation, let's say you have a range and you want to know where this pullback is coming up, maybe in this time, this is where you should go and dissect the volume, where the push came from. Maybe it is a few pips under maybe it's going to react where the highest volume was on the lower time frame, just to know, it's going to react from here. Probably it can react from here. It doesn't have to go all the way up to the range. Just ask confirmation.
Yeah, you can do that, but you can try and look for it. But generally speaking, you at least touch one of the tails or one of the wicks. That's just for trying to investigate things. But when you're trading a release, try not to look for a release at a high volume spot. Sometimes it works, but most of the time it's better to wait for the range anyway.
More confirmation.
Okay. Yeah, that's like extra confirmation. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's take 5 and then let's come back with more analysis. All right. Let me know if everyone's back. Whoever's back, you guys can ask me if you guys have any questions. Eric, you still have your hand raised. I'm not sure if you have a new question.
Oh, sorry. I need to put it down.
Okay, no worries. Just checking. Yeah, so New Zealand USD is sort of broken out. But these are the type of situations where I'm just unsure, because it doesn't really feel like there's super high volume at the bottom of the downtrend. This downtrend here. So although we have a technical setup with a range break and potential, I am more comfortable of leaving it alone than trying to get in on it, if that makes sense. Let's just put it blue. Okay. All right. So one other pair that might be interesting for today or even for tomorrow could be dollar CAD. Now this pair is a typical, break potential release. Right, this is the one that we learned on the first few days, and then here now we know it's in a counter trend and it could not be as safe as it looks, despite having volumes and that kind of thing. So let's have a look at the 240 just to see if we have a slowdown and if we touch 20 MA. In this case, I might say, it does seem that there is a slowdown range situation going on. Touch the 240, 20 MA, and it just might be doing a primary of this area, and then it's at an area where it could do two things, right? This might happen, or this might happen, sort of like a refresh. Right, so these are the cases, these are the areas at least now, with the help of MA, that you guys know it could be tricky, right? It could have invited enough buyers for the big boy to continue selling. So what I have done on this pair is just see what it will do around this zone here. If it does cross that zone, pullback will be a decent refresh to continue the sell, that kind of situation. Now, I do also see super high volume, which is good here as well, which is good, because all these are indicating that it might invite buyers to come in to continue their buys. At any point, if they fail, and if we do have higher volume pushing down, it could be a good sign that sales are back on. Either way, even if there's no volume on this push down, is it okay if we go all the way down? Even if there's no volume on this piece?
Yeah, we have volume transfer,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, so all volumes, all transfers.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, liking this pair, but this is not really correlating with dollar yen. Dollar yen, we are looking for dollar strength. Dollar CAD, we are looking for dollar weakness. All right. In any case, both setup, dollar CAD or dollar yen, hasn't really gave us enough data for us to start looking at the pullbacks yet. So right now, there's not too much point for me to figure out what is it gonna do or that kind of stuff. Just gonna wait and see until I have this, then then I'll start thinking. Otherwise, I'll just stick to the pairs that's setting up the soonest. So in this case, this is the pair that's giving me a pullback. I'll focus on this pair. Until dollar cat says otherwise. Okay. Everyone back? Yep. All right. So far, team B. You guys have any question for today's pairs? No. It doesn't feel like a day where we can just start trading, right? So we have to wait. So let's move on to some post analysis from last Friday. So some of you guys took the Aussie pairs, right? I saw your post analysis. So who took trades on Friday? I think Maya, Jay, Eric, Casey as well. For you guys' trade, let's go one by one. We'll start with team B. If you guys took any trade on Friday, what pairs did you take, and if there's any question or anything you want to talk about? No? Team
Yeah,
A?
Lucas.
Yep.
Yeah, I got one, man. I was just waiting for somebody else. Aussie CAD is one that messed me up. I took a loss on it.
Okay.
The New York session. It kind of goes with what we were talking about earlier today. So I actually took a sell right in this area. I mean, I'm sorry, a buy right in that area. I wish I would have took a sell. No. And what I was looking at potentially was these last guys all were trapped in here.
Yep.
In this area. So, and I saw that this was a big range, and these guys were all trapped. They were trying, and they got trapped. So this was like a zone I was working with. So my thought was this sell is coming back and starting to
slow down,
die out,
Yep.
Slow down. I think the volume had started to pick up on that yellow one.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the volume had started to pick up. So I was like, okay, maybe this is going to go because we're at the area of interest.
Yep.
And then that's when I started going to lower time frame. And then on the lower time frame, I clearly saw my PA where I messed up. We never really took out the guy who started. But I guess my question before we jump down to a lower time frame is this once again is like this bigger move, not like this break.
Okay.
Launch.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that I don't think that's the main problem for this trade. Now,
Countertrend.
yeah, it's more so because it's counter trend. So it's more so like this, where this could be a refresh on a higher time frame, and they're doing their primary somewhere in this zone, right? Secondary somewhere in that zone, and this is the on phase. Well, on phase is here. What you're trying to do is take the pullback before the on comes in, right?
Yes, that was exactly what I was thinking. Was that? Yes, I even have it marked out. I think the same on my chart, primary, secondary.
Yeah. And of course, with the fact that you see super high volume at this zone here, all becomes extremely enticing. So I can clearly understand why you try to attempt the buys without going to the 5 to look at the other errors, but it's just not as safe. Sometimes doing this works and makes you profit, but I think it's not a winning game over the long run if you're trying to attempt a buy, especially when the higher time frame has did their primary and did their secondary.
Okay.
So here's the thing, right? If this is one counter trend, right? Let's say downtrend, kill, okay? This is also counter trend, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least this counter trend, you know that this might be a primary, and at least you know primary cannot usually just go right through. It has to stop somewhere because someone down there is trapped. So at least you know this reaction can go. I'm not saying that this is safe. I'm just saying that at least there might be a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
But do you see the difference between this and this? The one you're doing here is this launch, and then you're doing this piece where it's if there's a level of the counter trend here, this is like risk, and this is like extremely risky. So let's say extra risky.
Mm-hmm.
This is like here. This is like here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
All right. That also makes sense why I went, I was like, man, let me jump up to the higher time frame and check my MAs, but they weren't making sense because it would have made more sense in this area to check my MAs, not this area. It's basically, it's too far gone at that point, correct?
Yeah.
I realized all that in my post analysis, but
Yeah.
all right, I'll stay away from these.
Yeah.
If it would have came up here and then kind of came back quickly, then you check your MAs on your higher time frame.
Yeah.
And this would have been your primary. And then I would have said, okay, at least I could try to take it up to the secondary. Okay.
Yeah, but just I think most of the time try to avoid, because like we have learned in some cases, it just do this, the B type, where this is primary, and instead of expecting the secondary to pull back all the way up there kind of situation, it could just stall here, so
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. But the part where you're saying checking the MAs part, yeah, it's this part here, where you check the MA, not this part. This part is, it has confirmed that it's going now.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's pretty clear. I had to, a lot of times I got to make the mistakes to learn from them. So hopefully I learned from this.
Yeah. It's good now that you have more experience to understand what's right and wrong, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I can have you show me.
Yeah.
That helps too.
Yeah. So this is not so much about where you mentioned earlier in the class about this distance kind of thing. It's more so about, it's counter trending.
Okay. All right.
Thank
you.
Yep, no worries. Yeah, but I can really, understand this and that. So yeah, don't beat yourself up because it's really enticing, and at least now you understand it could be a little bit more riskier. All right. Yeah, another thing I tend to find in the market is if your whole picture is right, the whole story is right, the whole level is right, volumes is right. If you messed up on the 5 a little bit, let's say if you got in before the guy who started is taken out, provided there's good volume and at a 60-minute zone, it will still try and work. So sometimes I see a lot of traders, they try and identify their mistake on the 5-minute, but the problem is not really on the 5. It's more so on the story, the price action on the higher time frame. It's just something I was thinking about.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, no worries.
I think, Lucas, like in this case where the story looks good on the 1 hour, everything ties together. The 5-minute, if you read it correctly, in this case would have kept you out of this trade.
Yeah.
Because I think think on the 5 minute exactly was the problem that the guy who started it wasn't taken out first
Huh?
when Casey attempted this. And I think that's what hit him in back.
Yeah. So it's not so much of the 5. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, it is exactly on the 5. I mean, if you go down to the 5 minute, your precision time frame, then that last guy who started it was barely taken out. And I think, Casey, you took the trade there. And it was enough for me to get into that trade, I think.
Yeah. One can argue that this wouldn't give a setup to begin with, right? Even though it's a risky one because there's no entry signal on the 5.
I think it was this area is where I got in.
Yeah.
After this rejection. Yeah.
The 5 minute is really like your extra confirmation. When I see situations like this, let's say if I did get in here, I'll tend to find that, hold on, sometimes I do get in there and I do see my trade actually play it out after giving me a squeeze and then goes up. But sometimes when I get in and it's not really taken out, it just fails. The difference between when it works and when it doesn't work, I think it all lies on your 60 minute.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because of the initial read, we were already.
Yeah,
down one to continue on the 60. Yeah.
Super high volume. Yeah, you would expect something like that. I can understand why. No worries. On to the next one. All right. Oh, someone has a hand raised for this, I believe. Just now, wasn't sure.
It was me, but I think you answered my question. I was thinking just because I have a big volume on the left from the buyer side, and it came to that area, you said, yeah, it is risky. You're seeing it's risky. Yeah, I'm seeing also. But couldn't you take just the first move up to the absolutely first SNR, and that's it?
You can do that. It's just extremely risky.
Only based on the volume that it was a good push. The push is big and with volume. Only based on that.
This one?
Yeah. Just the SNR.
Yeah, that's like purely just looking at the technical stuff. So again, you can do that. Over time, I think you'll still be profitable, but you would be a little bit more profitable if you just avoid these and wait for the flow, the release with the flow kind of situation. Yeah.
Okay. No risks.
All right. So that's Aussie Cat. Team B, any of you guys took any trades on Friday?
Yeah, sorry. Anyone else would like to go first?
You can go ahead, Eric.
Sorry, Team B. Yeah, I'm Team A. Sorry.
No, I don't think anyone else took on Team B.
Okay, yeah. I took a trade on British pound, Aussie dollar.
Pound Aussie dollar. Okay.
Yeah, pound Aussie dollar.
Yep.
Yeah. The trade worked out okay. Actually, I just got a few questions on the details of the trade. I think number one would be the entry part. I remember I was entering, so that was the bounce area. and that's London Open push all the way down there, and then it came back. I think it's really on the 5 minutes. I think I just used what you shared in the session on Friday is like when it probed down and then came back, and then when it came back all the way to the top of the range, I just entered the trade. I'm not quite sure if because normally sometimes I would wait until it took out the last guy, the last seller, and then when it put back a little bit, then I entered the trade. So I'm not quite sure if that timing is okay or not.
Okay.
Yeah. So counter, I think I need to find it's around. I think it's around there. Yeah, there. Okay. So
Here, right?
yeah, here. I entered trade, I think after that red candle, I entered trade somewhere there.
Okay. So this is your guy, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all that part you understand, you have fallen behind you.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's a few things that I would do, and a few things that you can think about. First, kind of situation is what kind of when we kill the guy who started, what kind of release or what kind of trap has formed. So in this case, it's more so like a range type of situation, right?
That's right. That's right.
So yes, price can pull back as deep towards this zone here, but if the analysis is right, if the level is good, we are expecting price to, if it does come down, it should resolve really quickly.
Yeah.
Right. So in this case, once you got a kill, you need to start thinking about where could it potentially pull back to retest to. The highest probability area is piece.
Correct.
And then it gets lower as it comes deeper, right? Because so strong if it's a range, if you have volume and market open, if it does that, it doesn't really feel like the trade is gonna work. So
correct. Right.
At this stage, you can do a few things. Put a limit order here, your stops.
Okay.
Right? Or you can wait and see what this candle does. If this candle pulls back and then quickly reject up, you can get in halfway there. But obviously your stops is, again, I'm teaching you guys the safest way. The stops would be here or here, would be still wide. What I would tend to do is just put a limit order here and then stops just here.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think stop wise, I was doing a little bit tricky. When I look back, it's not that making sense. I put my stop loss there, so more sort of below that level. So I was thinking if it's going to test the back, it could be bouncing from there. If it's passing that point, as the logic you said, it's just going too deep. I'm not quite sure if I still want to be in the trade anymore.
Yep. So here is okay. Here is fine also.
Right. Okay. All right.
So there's a few things that goes hand in hand with risk reward. So let's say if I see a pullback on the 5, I see high volume picking up. If we just close like 3 pips above this guy, and let's say my target is this high, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I won't even wait for a limit order here. I'll just get in here because the difference between getting in here and hitting it here with stops here is it's not a huge amount of difference. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Unless unless it's very far away and my target is here. If I get in here, if it's just 0.8 R, then I'll just wait for the release.
Yeah, probably that's 1.5 or 2. Yeah.
So it depends on the risk reward and how big the break is.
Okay.
You know, if
Alright.
if chasing it still gives you enough risk reward, then go for it. But if chasing it doesn't really give you any more risk reward, then you have to wait for a pullback.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right. Yeah. My other question on this pair is, let's go. Can we go back to the 1 hour?
Okay.
Yeah. Just play along a little bit. I think it's more. I think the take profit part, I'm all right. I think I take some profit, some of the profit. I think I take profit over there. So I think my first taking profit was somewhere here. I can't quite remember, but I basically I got out from over there. And then actually in New York session, I noticed this thing actually pulled back. Can we just go forward a little bit? And I would like to know if it's a chance to, yeah, so over right there. Can we buy this?
Okay. So this situation is more so of, you know, you have this huge range.
Yeah.
We sort of came up towards that area and release, failed to go lower, and then you see high volume market open, that kind of thing, and then
Yeah.
up, still trying to release and then fail.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So at this stage, you would assume that anyone who was selling from before are trapped and the overall flow coming back in.
Yeah.
It will be, your next job will be to wait for a slow pullback, but I'm not too how fast this is.
It's really fast. So I missed that thing anyway, but then I was just thinking, is there something, if it's coming faster like this and strong like this, can we really get in, or we just, that's not really a valid trade?
No. It's a valid trade because this is going with the idea that it's a primary, maybe a primary somewhere here, secondary here, and then maybe this is the on phase or even a cheese phase. So after this piece, it's all confirmed that it's a buy. All of this zone here is just how you want to get in.
Right.
So the question there is, do you know how to get in around here?
It's really hard.
Yeah, especially with the volume, I would find it extremely difficult as well. But you can actually do the same thing. Where you just wait for this guy, the 5 minute, to be taken out, then getting in around here with stops here or here.
Okay.
You know, but again, it's very easy for me to say in hindsight because you know, what's this, right?
Yeah. So that's why I think I was looking at this, and at some point I was looking at let me get my notation. I was looking at that cheese, but I really don't want to challenge that guy because there's huge volume there. So I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to take that. So, but it went for higher anyway. So
yeah. If this is lower volume, and if there's higher volume here, then I would say you can go for it quite easily.
Yeah. And also when I was looking at that trend, if you look at that one, I was looking at, okay, this thing has got high volume at the top. So I was not quite sure about that and that.
Yeah. I wouldn't be too sure either, because if you use correlation,
correlation
around this point in time, which is 130.
Yeah, that's
it would probably be around the same area as where Casey was looking at the area, right? 130. So at 130, we were all at some type of area, right? 1 o'clock here. So you wouldn't be too confident trying to continue the Aussie weakness, just based on where other pairs are in terms of their location.
Right.
But yeah,
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
yeah, no worries. Yeah, as long as you got the meat of the move, then it's fine. Just do that over and over again. Then it's easier to trade it that way.
Yes. Yeah. And is this more kind of like a 4-hour trade already? Because when I was looking at the 4-hour chart, it looks like similar to the setup that we are familiar with. Look at this. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be a 4-hour trade. It's just that we are identifying. How do I put this? It is a 4-hour trade, but we are looking for a setup on the 60-minute,
Right.
in line with what the 4 hour is doing.
Okay.
So in a way, that's like eclipse, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
With what the 4 hours are doing, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And in the ITP program, we also learned that we could use like the 200 EMA to gauge the overall trend on the trading time frame. So do we actually in what we are talking at the moment, the way we are trading at the moment, do you think we can still use that, or that's more sort of for a different strategy?
I don't use that, so I'm not sure how useful. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The last question is like, Lucas, you talked about keeping a trading journal. Yeah, I'm not quite sure if it's possible to know some of the details. Were like what kind of thing we need to record in the trading journal, because we learned something like, I think Naveen talked about, we need to record when we enter the timing, we enter the trade, and then we look at what happened afterwards, like how many bars after the price reached high point or low point, and then we can have some data. But then during the last few days, you also mentioned like we need to keep track the type of the trade we take, like the scenario. But how can we record that in the spreadsheet? It's a little bit hard sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, that part is hard. But to talk more about that, maybe we'll talk more about it next week.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, this one was a good trade. Yeah. I think Laila had your hand. You had your hand raised before.
I don't know. No.
No. Okay. Yeah. Casey.
Hey, do we ever incorporate the strength numbers in any of this?
I'll take a peek. But not too much. I'll have a look from time to time.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Williams.
I'm still going to show us you said you're going to share the link for the proper PA, how to do the proper PA, post analysis.
Yeah.
Are you still going to share the link?
Oh yeah, I'll share the link later with you. How we do it in the elite community.
Thank you.
Okay. Any question on pound Aussie so far, guys? No. All right. So anyone on Team A? You guys want to have a look at your trade from Friday? or any questions you have.
I guess we can look at mine just to validate my trade management, see if it was good.
Yep. Which one? Euro Aussie?
Yeah.
All right. Five then?
Yeah.
All right. So what's your question on this one?
So my entry was somewhere around here.
Okay.
After I seen the breach out, it was like testing this trap. And then it just hung around. I didn't do too much, move my stops in just a little bit. And then when it got to the recent high, I removed 40%. And then as it just kept breaching above, I was just moving my stops. And then eventually it reached my overall take profit.
Okay.
So I just want to know if I'm on the right track with the trade management.
You do that, right? You say if you have a spreadsheet, you record how much you made in total, and then on the right column, just record how much it would make for you if you were just to hit it once, stop loss at where it is, and then how much you make as compared to just getting out full size there.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not much I can say whether it's right or wrong. What I can say about this one is around this stage here, you gotta be a little bit careful because I got in around here. At this area here, you really want to look at where your buys are. So in this case, it's sort of like a new buys have come in like that. And then it sort of ranges up there, right? At this stage, you really want to see the buys continue to push up and not have this trend fail.
Yeah, I noticed that too. When I was right here, I was seeing if the buys, if the sells were going to breach below, and if it did, then I would just scratch, but it just held and then it breached.
Yeah. This was a very close call because it seems like this is sort of like a range. If it holds and then makes a new breach down, retest, and goes further down, then you really want to get out there. The reason for that also depends on where your stop is, because my stops were pretty wide, it was around here. And if I get out like that, it would be a scratch, right? Like literally just a scratch. So where can if this trade were to still work, it can still come all the way back down towards this area here and then release from there. So at one stage, my plan was just to get out here. If it holds below, release, make a new low, get out there, and then getting back in around areas like this. Again, once the trend dies out, where this thing might just be a primary and secondary.
Yeah, because if it turned around like that, I was basing my trade off the cheese mentality. So if I seen those sellers come in, I probably wouldn't reattempt from my point of view.
Correct, right? Because your story here is, if this is the higher time frame doing its primary and secondary, and this is like the on phase, it shouldn't take too long to go. So if it does come back down again, then there obviously is a problem with this trade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then for exits, I know it did go a little bit higher, but I didn't really have a problem with that because we started to get high volume right at the top for the buys.
Yeah.
So I would have, even though it went higher, I didn't really mind too much.
Yeah. So remember when I was saying on Friday that if we do see if our trade does work, it has a probability of making new highs. It's just we are not sure how is it gonna get up there. So where price can stop, if our target is up there, you really need to know how to sit through stuff like this to get out. Otherwise, what you did was perfectly fine. Just look at the 5 minute and trail your stops as it goes up. When you see high volume, just get out there, and that's fine as well. Yeah, it's just that after this phase, it's sort of like in a cheese phase situation. Sometimes getting in, getting out, and then getting back in may make you more money. Yeah. Yeah, that's more advanced stuff, and you really have to see how you're doing with the cheese. If you're able to get the story right, cheese would be quite easy to trade.
Right. Yeah, that's all I have for that. I think everything else went fine.
Yep. So you trail your stops here then?
My last stops was here, and then once it went up, it just hit my take profit.
Okay. Okay.
Or maybe it was this one.
Okay. So you're basing it off this zone, or?
I was basing it off of the last seller that hit it with volume.
Okay. Okay.
It was kind of high.
Yeah. So this high then.
Yeah.
Yep, it's fine. It's fine.
All right, cool.
Yep, good trade.
Thank you.
All right, let's go for one more. I think Maya took a trade as well, right? Do you have any questions you want to ask, or any doubts you have?
Yes. Yeah, we can have a look at it.
Yep.
That was the Aussie dollar.
Yep.
Did a PA on that, but we can go through it quickly. Okay, shall I draw on it?
Yeah, sure. Any doubts or questions or anything you want to validate?
Yeah, okay. What I did yesterday is I saw this last guy got taken out, so I was gauging a trade, which I took a primary and then I scaled in somewhere along the way and I got out here at the bottom. Now, I don't think this is finished.
Yeah.
Are you replaying or is this real time?
It is replay.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I got in here for a cheese and then I got out here on Friday as per my PA. Now what I'm looking for is actually, well, it's still replaying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, just go to the end.
Yep.
So what's happening now, yeah, it's whole. So I'm hoping for a reaction from this trapped buyers up there to go for a last leg down. Now my target area is set around this area, which is these last trap sellers down here. So that's my way of thinking now at the moment. I know this might happen today, it might not, maybe tomorrow, but I'm trying to catch this third leg down now.
Yep. Yep.
So if we can even maybe get a 5-minute trade up into that area, because at the moment it is sort of set up for that. But yeah, that will be a bit, just a short trade up into that reaction area for the real trade down to this area. That's my way of thinking. I don't know if I'm reading it correctly.
Yeah, I think there is still some juice left for the Aussies, especially with the volume here that has been transferred over to the sell side. So it's definitely, in an area where these guys will try, which they are trying. The whole goal here is to try to get as far as away from this kind of areas, before attempting the sells. Now, there's a few things that might be a concern, and that is we are building a range here, and this, yes, it is a release zone because buyers were trying. If we pull back up towards that zone, there might be another money spot here, right? Because these guys think that the buys are on, they're holding the range. We might see stuff like that, just might. So what I would think of is trying to get price as high as we can here to resume whatever is going on the higher time frame. If we do not get this, let's say if we do see a reaction, these guys cause some problem, then that would be an easier trade. But here it may be tricky because of the range below. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's the range here that might mess up what sells can do. So it's either we get more space, which means deeper pullback, or we wait for this thing to resolve. And right now, what I'm seeing here is actually these guys are trying to release. So if they fail to release, you're not really expecting them to come back in anymore. It should continue to push down.
Yeah, I think a guide for that valuation, because if once you see the dollar index moves up quite strongly, then you know it's a sort of a reaction area to turn around from.
Yeah, use that. You can use that. So yeah, a lot of the Aussies are in line with higher time frame moves. Yep, this was a good trade. Yeah, I saw your video post analysis as well. So you put quite some effort in. Yeah, good job.
Thanks.
All right. Before calling it a day, today I will most likely just be watching USD Yen, because this is the only pair that has a setup for us on the 60-minute. This is a bit messy. USD CAD could be interesting, but again, today is a holiday. Yeah, mainly these two pairs. All right, so we'll see what happens to those two pairs. If you guys do take those trades, make sure to do your post analysis. We can talk about it tomorrow. Yeah, let's see. Any other questions?
So you wouldn't say USD CAD and USD Yen's correlating, because the way I've seen it is kind of both counter trend, and they're pulling back to areas where they can react.
Yeah, so USD CAD, USD CAD is for dollar weakness, right? And then dollar yen is for dollar strength. So yeah, maybe USD yen is coming from the yens, and then dollar CAD is coming from the dollar. So try and use the four pairs for correlation to figure it out, and then it might be a good practice to know which pair to lean on, or which pair would be a safer one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's see. All right. Any other questions?
I don't know if it's going to take a while to explain or not, but I would say the biggest issue I have right now is sort of with the MAs. I don't know if I should read the entire story on the higher time frame or just focus on that one swing to determine if it's counter trend.
So like dollar yen?
Sure.
Focus on the whole story or look at the one swing? Okay, so what I generally do is, if I'm on the 60, I see a kill there's obviously going to be a trap and a release, right? And then I go to the higher time frame to see if it makes sense with the MA. The MA still says it's fine. It's not really a coincidence, right? But most of the time, when we have a trap and a kill on the 60-minute, it could be something from a higher time frame. So it's just like dollar yen that has this kind of situation going on. So again, you don't really need to know the story of what the daily 240 is trying to do. All you know is the reaction that you're trying to take is safe. The reason why you don't really need to know what the story of the daily and 240 is because there's going to be a reaction, and there was a reaction. For as much as we know, this could be a primary, secondary, and then the story, sort of unfolds from there. But because we're just trading it on the 65, all you need to know is you're safe doing just a piece of that move. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then one thing I notice is when I go to the higher time frame to see if there's like validation or whatever, I noticed that sometimes the 4-hour and the daily would be in a range. So I don't know if it would still be safe to take that trade.
You have any pairs that's like that?
Let me check. I feel like I do.
I think that would only tell you that you're not really in a counter trend. So it may tell you a few things, that you're not really counter trending on the higher time frame, or you're just in a nasty range on the higher time frame. So it depends. It sort of depends on what it is. So let's say,
maybe a good example is pound yen. I feel like there's a better one, but
yeah. So this is on the 60-minute, because we are 65 traders. It feels like we're counter trending, right? Then you go to the 240 to check if your MA is supporting or not. And then in this case, it's not really telling you that much, right? So it doesn't really matter at this point anymore what this is. It only matters at stages like this. If you're trying to sell on the lower time frame on this bar here on the 65. At this stage, it's telling you, no, you don't want to sell it because it might just be a primary and secondary to launch from there kind of situation. Or, you're trying to sell from here, where it's still in the vicinity where there is a possibility that the buyers still want to refresh. But here, it's all just telling you that it has tried multiple times and failed. Yeah. So this is saying tried multiple times and failed. Hence, it should push down, but it resolved all the way back up. So it sort of makes this counter trend a little bit safer.
all right.
Yeah. So yep.
Next session, I think I'll have a better example.
Yeah. Or
through backtesting, I found something, but I can't find it in the moment.
Yeah. Or if you see anything, you can make a video on it and then just tag me.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah, good stuff. Let's meet up tomorrow. Same thing, same place, same time.
See you.
All right. Cool, guys. See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.